Was Indiana Governor Mike Pence talking about his hanging out with Donald Trump yesterday. Well, it looks like he's within hours of making the announcement. Donald Trump, who his vice presidential running mate will be, Brad Melke, joins us from ABC News to talk all about it. Good morning, Brad Melke.
Hey, good morning.
All right, so what do we know, at least, about this?
Well, we know that Donald Trump says he's narrowed it down to 3 or 4. Then he even caught himself and said it's more like 2. Two people are really in my mind. And Newt Gingrich seems to think that he's one of them. He went on Fox News last night and said that Trump has narrowed his choices down to himself and Mike Pence, the governor from Indiana. And if Mike Pence does become the vice presidential nominee, he might have the aviation gods to thank. Though he wasn't even supposed to be in Indiana yesterday, but his plane broke down, had some mechanical issues. He had to stay in Indiana. That led to several more hours of chatting with Mike Pence, a visit to his house, and that's when he started setting up a temporary office in the state. He had out Newt Gingrich, he had Jeff Sessions out there, he's been in constant contact with Chris Christie. Those are the 4 names we think it's down to. All
right, that's that. Is he going to make the announcement tomorrow?
He'll make the announcement tomorrow, 11 o'clock local time at Trump Tower in New York. He might release the name before that, though. It's always possible it could leak.
All right, that's that. Then we have some interesting polls out with the New York Times this morning.
That's right. A dead heat nationwide, according to the Times, 40 to 40, which still leaves 20% of Americans either undecided or potentially voting for a third-party candidate. So there's still a lot of room for movement there. But we've seen this in some state polls as well. In Florida, where Hillary Clinton had an 8-point lead a month ago, now down to a dead heat between the two. A lot of that because of the email investigation and people finding her less honest and trustworthy than ever. In fact, in Florida, that crucial swing state, voters by more than a 10-point margin find Donald Trump the more trustworthy of the two.
Yeah, so it's hard to sort of extrapolate why these polls move, but that's a big movement shortly after that email scandal. We can pretty much attribute it to the fallout from that email controversy.
Yeah, as we look at sort of, the top line is always the one we talk about, right? Who's winning and by how much? But it's the questions that they ask after that. Do you see Hillary Clinton as a strong leader? Do you see Donald Trump as, morally upstanding or standing up for your values? Those are the questions that we do find a lot of movement on month to month as people sort of wrap their heads around these candidates. And the numbers as far as the email scandal are pretty devastating for Hillary Clinton, at least in the short term.
Yeah. What do we know about the convention? Is the speaker list released yet?
So it just got released within the last hour or so, and so now we're learning more about who will be at the RNC. And there are the names you'd expect. Paul Ryan, as we've reported. Ted Cruz has accepted a speaking spot, and some other presidential rivals from the past. But you don't see any of the big names of the past, right? You don't see any of those standard bearers, the McCains, the Romneys. No one named Bush is going to be up there. Instead, you have some names you might not have expected necessarily. Four of Donald Trump's children will speak. We'll see the African-American sheriff of Milwaukee. He's spoken out against Black Lives Matter as a movement. We'll see even the president of the Ultimate Fighting Championship will be making an appearance. So maybe an unconventional convention coming up on Monday.
Any Bobby Knight? Anybody from The Apprentice? I mean, how far down the celebrity list does he go?
I haven't seen any names from The Apprentice yet. The New York Times was reporting that Tim Tebow would be speaking if we're looking for former athletes, but none of these big names. Donald Trump had mentioned people like Bobby Knight, Mike Tyson. Both of those guys said they hadn't been contacted and probably wouldn't be able to show up even if they wanted to. So I don't think we're going to get too many of those former sports stars that we thought.
Unbelievable. All right, Brad Melke, stay tuned. It's about to get really interesting. ABC News correspondent. Thanks, Brad, for checking in.
Thank you.
6:55, Big 550, KTRS.